All right, so Carly, we've talked about kind of the beginning and we've talked about the journey. I want to hear what's next for Smak Dab.
Oh, that's a good question.
What's on the horizon?
Yeah, so we are actually, it's been interesting. We actually went through a big brand consultation, which was really interesting for us because we thought that we really knew who our target market was, and we thought we knew kind of our brand essence, but this really honed in on what our customers really think of us. So a bunch of surveys were sent out from our customers, and really getting some good feedback of why they buy Smak Dab, what was the important factors and that sort of thing. And we learned a lot about our brand, a lot of things we already knew, which was good because we got confirmation. But there were some things that were new to us that we were like, wow, that's really cool, and that's really good to know. So having all this information, we're actually going to be going into a big brand refresh this spring, which is time because we did our last one, it was probably 6 years ago. So I think it's time for us to really bolster all that we've learned about ourselves and what our customers think, and really just come out with a bit of a freshened look. We're going to keep a lot of the aspects the same, like we want to keep the clear label.
You're not going to change the maple one, are you?
No. Recipes are staying the same. No, recipes are staying
the
same. Yeah, the recipes aren't changing. The flavors aren't changing. If anything, this might, launch a new flavor in the fall that we've been working on. Yeah. But I think that one thing, we wanted to change our packaging because we didn't think it emulated kind of our values as much as we would like. So we're kind of working on a consultant with that and really harnessing kind of our beliefs of the company. And it was kind of cool when we got the answers back from all the surveys and all this consultation that they really condensed into like a business plan. It was very true to who we were, and we were really happy because you want to keep doing what feels natural. And so it was really good just to get confirmation that, yeah, this is what your fans love about you. Just keep doing it, and if anything, lean into it more. So it was really fun for us to get that. So we're going to be going into a brand refresh in the spring. New logo, same essence, like same fun, very transparent look to it, but just a little bit more elevated. So I'm really excited about that because it's been 6 years since we've done our packaging. So I think it's time, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. And I have some really fun ideas on the horizon. At one point we were thinking about expanding into different product lines, but we've learned that we want to stay true to who we are. And so for that reason, we're thinking of doing some collabs with some other companies that do their product really well. Cool. So I think that'll be a really fun project for us. So, and again, staying true to who we are and believing in the power of home cooking and providing people with tools they can use in their kitchen for home cook. So still like kind of going through that lens, but really fun products that we think will be a beautiful collaboration with companies that we already love and have the same values as us. So that's going to be really fun. I don't want to give away too much, but we're really pumped about the companies that we're looking at working with. And yeah, we want to launch a new flavor in the fall, one that we've been working on for a while. And yeah, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We like to stay in our lane. We don't like to get too wild and get too out of our reach. We like to stay true to who we are. So I think that that's kind of on the horizon for us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and I think that's one of the real strengths of your business is that you've worked so hard to figure those things out. And when I see sometimes processors and they're like, well, it's not working, so we're going to add another SKU, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. And it's like, okay, maybe you need to fix, or, you need to focus on what you have.
Yeah, and one of the big things I see companies do is when they launch into retail, when they launch a new company, they think that they need to have 16 different SKUs or like 30 different options of their product. And really, it's just the same thing, but slightly different, and it's confusing to the customer, and ultimately it's very overwhelming for the store. So we have 6 flavors that are available year round, a 7th that's seasonal. We have 2 gift pack varieties, and that's it. Like that's it. We've had lots of ideas to expand our product line, but we're like, you know what? We have like a very good core line, and sometimes I think that less is best. And I think that sometimes I see people go too hog wild, and then it just becomes too much. You're just diluting the core, and you're not necessarily going to make more money. I think that's the thing, is that people think they make more products, they make more money, and if anything, you're just diluting and you're making it way more complicated for your production, for your fulfillment, and you're also almost making it more expensive that way, because you're just like making it way too confusing. So I think that I've loved that we've had our core 6, and we're looking at maybe adding a 7th, because I think people have really been asking for it. But again, it's going to be a product that's very purposeful. We're going to do lots of sample testing and a really good focus group to make sure that it makes sense for our line, because we do not launch anything that's not like perfect, Yeah.
Good. So if you were to talk to somebody who's a processor who's maybe just getting on the shelf in sort of the, the larger retail environment.
Yeah.
What's like the top 2 or 3 things that they really need to focus on and deliver on?
Yeah, I think that, the whole marketing piece is just like a non-negotiable. I think that they have to really stay consistent with their messaging to their target market and just keep that going and just be very true to who they are and ignore the noise of the people who don't want to buy their product. Just forget about them. Don't try and pivot to fit that mold. Just stay in your lane. Just stay there. I think that's the number one thing I would say. I would say number 2, specifically talking about a store and in your products in the store, I think it's really important. I'm seeing a lot of people missing the mark here, but take some time to think about how your product looks on the store shelf. So I see a lot of companies missing this. They just, they're in the freezer and they're up on the top shelf so people can't see their label, and they're completely missing sales. They're leaving money on the table. So I think it's really important for customers or for companies to think about different scenarios as well. If you're on the shelf here, what if you're down below? Should you maybe look at putting something on the top of your jar? Or I see people come out with like a bag of beans or something, and then they're on the shelf and it's a flat bag so people can't see what's in it. So maybe more of an upright box. So I think that when you launch into stores in a big way, that's a big investment and a big push. Make sure your packaging is proper for the shelf and where you might be positioned, and also just making sure your packaging is attractive. I see a lot of companies put their products in grocery stores, and I think they just miss the mark in terms of just something that's effective. And I think that I hate to say it, but looks do matter in a grocery store. Like, I don't know about you, but I buy a bottle of wine based on the label. I want to have a nice looking label of bottle of wine. So people do eat with their eyes first. So you have to make sure that your product is nice looking, your design is cohesive, it's modern, it's professional. Don't do it yourself. Like, maybe have a designer put it together.
Test it in the store. Take it to the category. Ask the store. See if you can put a few bottles in and see what it looks like.
Exactly. And again, you're leaving money on the table if you don't do that step. I think a lot of people try to cut corners and do it affordably, but you have to do your due diligence. Like, maybe go out to stores outside of the city, even outside of the province. I love to go to the US and check out grocery shelves there and see what's attractive, see what's not attractive, see what's working, and get some ideas, especially when we're doing this rebrand. Think of ideas of how, maybe we should try doing this. That's really eye appealing, because ultimately you want people to pick up your product, and then you want them to look at it and you want them to say, this is interesting. So maybe you want to have a QR code on there that takes them to your website, or a sales page that gives, talks about your value proposition and what makes you different and what they can do with your product. Something that's really compelling. Maybe you have that on there, or maybe you have some pairings of what you can pair that product with, or maybe you have some quick points like ready, cook from frozen, ready in 10 minutes, things that somebody be like, oh, that's sweet. I want to cook this from frozen and it's ready in 10 minutes. It's important to have your packaging really compelling. And I think that a lot of people try and cut corners there. And I would say not to cut corners, because again, you're leaving money on the table and you're leaving success on the table. And ultimately, when you get into a store, that first reorder is the most important. So you want to make sure that you do everything in your power to make sure that happens and it goes smoothly and successfully.
So 3 things then: focus on the marketing.
Yep.
Don't, be relentless about it.
Be relentless.
Make sure your product performs at retail in terms of packaging and messaging.
Yep.
And then get that reorder.
And get that reorder, and then do everything you can to get that reorder. So maybe when you first get into the stores, talk about an intro promo to get some special positioning, or maybe do a demo, or maybe they have a little flyer. I know a lot of smaller grocers have an email push they do out of new products, or talk to them about what you can do with that. And then also, one thing people miss is just educating the staff. Like, maybe cook up some product and leave it in the staff room for lunch, or leave some jars of, in the staff room so they can try it. I think that people forget that staff are also your customers, because chances are they shop in that store too. And they might get a staff discount, so they're a lot more likely to buy in their store. So I think that people miss that piece, that customers are the staff as well. So that doesn't hurt too. And ultimately those staff talk to customers. So if the customer's picking up your jar of mustard, the Smak Dab, and they're not really sure, they put it back and say, oh, that flavor's really good. My favorite's this one. I put it on this. Oh, cool. Recommendations mean a lot. So there are definitely a checklist I would recommend that they really follow through to get that first reorder, but that first reorder is very important.
Yep, for sure.
So what is 1 or 2 things that companies should definitely not do when they approach a store?
You're asking me that question?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Oh, okay.
I'll answer after you.
Okay. So for me, one of the biggest things is you do not go in and tell them how to do their job.
Yeah, that's a good one.
When you're trying to get your product on the shelf, you need to prove why it should be there and the benefits to the retailer. Please don't go in and tell them how to do their job. Let them do their job, which means they're going to figure out how to price it. They're going to figure out how to merchandise it. Now, be ready if they ask you a question, but don't tell them how to do their job. And I also see sometimes another thing I would say to people is figure out how you work within the category. Don't kind of criticize what's being done because you're actually talking to the person who's built that category.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's their private label and that kind of thing. So you got to figure out how do you complement it as opposed to going, you know, that doesn't work or why would that ever be on there? Because you're talking to the person who probably put it there.
That's good because those are two really good points for perspective of somebody that used to work in retail. Yeah, I would say that my two things, and I've learned from my mistakes, the pop-in very rarely works. I find that catching them off guard or when they're in the middle of something and they feel like they have to talk to you is disrespectful. I find that that's just never really bode well, and I just don't recommend it. I think that
well, it says something about you. It's like you're disorganized or something.
Exactly, you're just on a whim, and I don't think that's respectful of their time. And I always think these people are so busy. I know the ones in the smaller stores I'm thinking of specifically, they wear a lot of hats. And so I think that's just respectful to call ahead, book an appointment, see when works for them. Maybe they're away on holidays and just respect their time. So that's one thing that I've learned the hard way not to do. So I'd say always try and make an appointment. Don't pop in. And second of all, from past experience, don't leave. If something happens, you do happen to go and they're busy or they just can't talk to you in the moment. Maybe they're sick or something, things happen. Or say, for example, you do still end up popping in, which I don't recommend. I've never just leave samples in your sell sheet with like a teller or with a person and just say, oh, can you pass this on to this person? Because chances are, I would say 99% of the time, it's not going to get into their hands. It's going to go onto their desk or into a box of samples. And it's like the boneyard of like things that go to die. So I think that never leave samples with somebody. Just go back, book an appointment again, go back again. Because I think that when you do that, you have to work so much harder to like get a hold of them again. And like, oh, I left samples in that box. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take a look at it. And then they get busy doing something else and then they don't look at it and then you call again. I think you have to work so much harder to catch up. So I would say popping in and leaving samples just out on a whim, hoping they get into the good hands. It's just not effective. No. Okay, so how do you get a retailer to call you back? What are some effective strategies that they will call you back and get back to you? Because sometimes there is a bit of a waiting period.
Yeah. I think that you want to make it about them. So you want to find out from them what's the best method of communication. You know, do I call you? Do I email you? Do I text you? And so with that, what's the best day of the week? And even within that, what's the best time of the day? Are you like a in the office early person? Are you working late kind of person? And once they give you that, then I think you kind of have you have the permission now because they've told you when to do it and how to do it. So when you call them, even if you have to leave a message or you send an email, you say, you suggested I call Tuesday morning early because that was the best time to get you. Unfortunately, I must have missed you, but can you give me a shout back? And then I think the next thing for me is you just have to also respect that they do have a few other things to do. So you need to give them a bit of time and space. But then you need to be relentless, and then you need to give them I'm going to call you again next Tuesday morning. And try to make it so that it's easy for them to fit it in and make it happen. And then also you want to let them know, why are you calling? You know, is it, if you're saying, I'm following up from the meeting we had on April 10th, and it was about getting our products listed, or it's about the promo plan we talked about. Because again, they got a bunch of things on the go, and they don't want to look stupid. So help them out, make it easy for them. And I think when you do those kind of things, then you have a much better chance of getting a call back.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's a really good point, that get some good, ask them questions, I guess is what you're saying. Ask them questions because they want it to be a good relationship, build that trust. I think that also when you call them back, if you haven't gotten a yes, or you haven't gotten a no yet, I don't think it hurts to leverage those quarterly opportunities. So, say for example, it's January of, let's just say we're back in January and you pitch your product, you haven't heard anything. You can say, oh, well, Mother's Day is coming up. We have a really great product that we think would be great with Mother's Day. We have these wonderful bundles, or, maybe you have a Valentine's Day product that works well. I don't think it hurts to leverage those opportunities because again, like you said, you want it to be good for them. You don't want it to just be all about you. I think a lot of people get caught up and it's just like about them.
I have this great product and you have to have it. No, I don't.
You have to have it, and you have to put up all this signage for me, and you have to give me this big splash. And really, that's not kind. It's not the way to go about it. You have to really prove to them why your product is going to be great for these opportunities, and how it's going to sell through ultimately. So. Yeah.
And another little thing that you can do is you don't want to always put all your cards on the table at the beginning. So keep a couple things, because you're going to have to chase them.
That's
probably.
true, yeah.
9 times out of 10, you have to chase these people. So maybe keep a couple little tidbits that when you do call and leave that message, you could say, oh, by the way, we've got a special thing that we've just come up with that's going to be like gangbang exciting for July 1st weekend. And then they're like, okay, I wonder what they're talking about. Maybe I do need to call them back, or I'm going to miss out on something. So you want to keep them engaged, I guess.
That's true. I have a question for you. What was the most compelling way a company sold you on their product when you were working in the industry? What was one thing a company did that was just like, wow, that really wowed you? Do you remember anything specifically?
Yeah, I would say they told us what they would do if they were doing our private label. And I was like, holy smokes, you're really putting yourself in my shoes trying to figure it out. And because a lot of times people see private label as the competition, right? Which is true. But I remember somebody coming in and saying, if we did President's Choice, this is how we, and I'm like, holy smokes, you really are trying to think like me and understanding. So that was one that sort of shocked me a bit. I was like, whoa.
And it's kind of a bold move, hey?
Yeah.
But it worked well.
Yeah. Well, I remember it. And and in a respectful way, it wasn't like, I'd blow it up. It was more like, if it was me, this is what I'd do. And I was like, wow.
Could grow it, yeah. Okay, so what would be the most common question you get from other smaller food and beverage operators?
Why won't they put me in their store?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like, I have a great product, and why won't they put me in the store?
Yeah.
And the answer to that question is because you're not proving to them what the benefit is for their store, and you're not proving to them what you're going to do to put behind your product to make it sell.
Yeah.
All you're doing is talking about your product.
Yeah. So about that benefits and features thing, hey, people spend too much time talking about one or the other, and you have to really have a balanced blend of, what's going to be better for them, what's in it for them. Yeah, I think that the number one question I get from people that reach out to me is they're not seeing their product sell through. And I think this goes back to the whole strategy of retail. So it involves, and again, going back to your positioning on the shelf, is your product in the right package for people to see you properly and get proper visibility? And what's your promotional cycle like? Are you getting some volume going? And then ultimately it's about, your design. Does it look good? Does it look compelling? Does it look like it's nice enough for somebody to pick it up? Versus,
are you even in stock?
Yeah, like, and there's so many things, but yeah, like, does it look good? Does it have nice, nice text? Is it legible? It's crazy how many times, I know you've probably seen this, how many times you see a product on the shelf and you can't read it. It's like a yellow background and white writing. So there's disconnects like that a consumer is just like, well, I can't read it, I don't understand. But I think ultimately, I just think people don't know why your product is what it is, Because I think a company that maybe comes across our mustard sometimes would just see it as an overpriced item. But ultimately there's more to it, and our customers know that. So I think that there's all of that work behind the scenes that needs to happen for a customer to really sell through. And I think that a lot of times people get discouraged because I didn't think I had to market my product for it to sell through. But there's a lot of that. There's just so many layers to it.
Their job, sort of people go, well, I got it listed.
Yeah.
And yes, it's cause for celebration, but it's not the end of the story.
Yeah.
And then you get it to the store.
Yep.
It's still not the end of the story because it's not on the shelf yet. Then you got to get it on the shelf and make sure it's in stock. And then you got to get the consumer to pick it up and put it in the shopping cart. And then you can really have the celebration.
And then you can celebrate when you get those consistent orders coming from that distributor or that store. But I think also the number one thing, and you and I have talked about this so many times, is we hear companies get upset or sort of complain that they feel like the store should be doing more and that the distributor should be doing more, the sales reps should be doing more to sell. And I think that's one of the biggest things I get, and this goes back to just not selling through, is that they just feel like those people owe it to them to sell through. But really in the end, You and I talk about this so much, it's your responsibility.
It is.
The store can't sell it for you. They can do certain things. They can, they can have the price in place. They can have the promotion in place when on schedule, but ultimately it's your deal. It's your business. It's your...
The retailer's job is to run great stores.
Yeah.
Not to sell your product.
Yeah.
It's your job to sell your product.
You almost have to look at it as that they're just facilitating the sale, and you have to, go through that work. So I think I see a lot of companies just, wanting to move more volume. I think there's just a lot to it that they're not aware of, or they just think that they don't have to do. I think that a lot of people just feel like you're a local company, you use high quality products and you taste good, no problem. But there's just a lot more to it. Yeah.